Hey, this is Politics with Laura, and I got a wow one for you today. Okay, there's a lot going on over there in Russia. OMG, there is so much going on. It seems like that these Russian oil and gas and bank oligarchs are starting to croak. And what I find interesting is how the occult is mixed in there. Now, I have always known that over in Germany they were heavily into the occult, especially the Nazis. That okay, heavily into the occult, but I didn't know that Russia was into that too because because Putin is extremely religious. He rebuilt all the churches around Russia have been rebuilt since communism took over Russia, and or shall I say the Soviet Union at that time. And then it would seem like atheism took over Russia and just sort of like start tearing down the churches. But if you look at other videos, I get into Putin, who's extremely religious. He rebuilt all the churches. So here's the interesting thing: these people, these oligarchs, cite to where one Magnanoff, I'm messing up his name, Ravil Magnanoff, had some shamanism going on, and that was from the BBC News that reported that, and I'll get to that. And then you had Yahoo News, which said that one of them was doing voodoo, and I'm just, whoa. So it seemed like a lot of this start happening in April of this year, 2022, when President Biden put all these sanctions on Russia and the oligarchs. So it's not only just Putin and what's going on within the government, but it went to the extension of the people that were dealing with Russia or the oligarchs or the big oil companies and bankers. Interesting. I didn't mean to ramble that long, but here, Yahoo News says a Russian oil chief dies and fall from sixth floor window. Company blames death on illness. Wait a minute. He falls from a six-story window, but then his company blames it on his illness. How do you do mental gymnastics to get to that one? Come to that conclusion. But let me back it up. Let me back it up. Back it up. Let me back it up. All right, here. It says Ravil Maginov was the fourth Russian energy official who died suspiciously in recent months. He's seen here next to Vladimir Putin in 2019 when Maginov was awarded the Order of Alexander Nevsky at the Kremlin. Okay, Ravil Maginov, the chairman of the board of Lukoil, the second largest oil company in Russia, died amid mysterious circumstances Thursday, according to the Daily Beast. Now, it gets a little, just bear with me. State-owned outlet TASS, it's Russian, quoted sources that he fell from the sixth-story hospital window in Moscow. TASS later added that Maginov took his own life by jumping. Okay, you got two opposing things there. He was sick in the hospital, which meant that he was trying to get better. but then he jumps out of the window. Do you see the interesting thing going on there? Which is it? Was he trying to get better, or did he just simply go to the hospital to off himself? Okay. Luke Oil omitted any mention of the fall in the news release on and said Mazinov's death in Central Clinic Hospital resulted from underlying health issues he suffered. We deeply regret to announce that Ravel Mazinov, chairperson of the PJSC Luke Oil board of directors, passed away from the following severe illness, Luke Oil wrote. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one alone altogether. You just see this massive cover up. Okay, Ravel Mazinov immensely contributed to the development not only of the company but to the entire Russian oil and gas sector. Okay, Russian news outlet RIA Novosti reported that the hospital confirmed Mazinov's death and that authorities were investigating the matter. TASS cited an unnamed law enforcement official claiming Mazinov has been hospitalized for a heart attack and was on antidepressants when he died. Now that right there sounds very sneaky and suspicious. So you have an unnamed law enforcement giving medical information when the doctors didn't do it. Cover up. Trying to cover your tracks. Allegedly. Mazinov joined the Luke Oil Company in 1993 and became chairperson in 2020. His company notably condemned Russia's invasion of the Ukraine. Okay, note that one right there. He wrote in February's letter to shareholders that Luke Oil supports the immediate cessation, or maybe ceasing this of armed conflict, according to the Daily Beast. The 67-year-old, a substantial roster of Russian bankers and oil gas executives who have died under suspicious circumstances this year. Now, not only did they die, but the whole family died. This is some wild stuff. I'm sorry. Okay, Luke Oil's billionaire ex-manager Alexander Subotin was found dead of an apparent heart attack in his home in a Sharma in Mytishyn in May, according to Newsweek. TASS reported that voodoo rituals occurred at the home of the Subotin was intoxicated when he died. You can't make this stuff up. There's some wild stuff. Look, there's something funky in Canterbury. Okay, and it goes on. Then it goes to other executives and how they died with their family. I'll give you one example. The next month, the former Gazprom Bank executive Alexander Tylyakov was found hung in his St. Petersburg's garage. The former vice president of Gazprom Bank, Vladimir Avayev, was found dead in April with a gunshot wound next to his wife and daughter in their Moscow home. I mean, the whole family's gone. Authorities said they suspected the incident was murder-suicide. Okay. Now, if they're doing voodoo and all this other stuff, and then you have this, and not to mention Gorbachev just died, and he was the former president of the Soviet Union before it became Russia Federation. And Gorbachev just died at 91. There's a whole look. There's a changing of the guards going on. That's what this is, a changing of the guards. Allegedly, that's what makes sense to me. So, okay, it goes on, but let me go to the next article. And that was Yahoo News. Now, here, this is the BBC. And what's interesting is I'm just going to get to the meat of it. Okay, investigating authorities said that they were working at the scene to establish how he died, meaning Majenov. How he died. TASS news agency quoted sources saying that he had fallen from the 6th floor window earlier on Thursday morning, adding later he had taken his own life. So, again, the man's at the hospital. You go to the hospital to get better. You don't go to the hospital and then jump out the window. Nah. Shortly after the Russian invading Ukraine, the Lukoil board claimed that the conflict, called for a conflict to end as soon as possible, expressing its sympathy to the victims of this tragedy. Woo, woo. I'm just going to say woo. Its billionaire president, Vagit Alec Petrov, resigned in April of the UK imposed sanctions on him in response to the invasion. Several Russian energy oligarchs have died in unusual circumstances in recent months. One, a body of a billionaire, Novek former manager Sergei Protosenya, was found alongside his wife and his daughter at a Spanish villa in April. Took out the whole family. A former vice president of Gazprom Bank, Vladislav Avayev, was found dead with his wife and daughter in their Moscow flat in April. 2 in April, and it seems like husband, wife, daughter, something to that. In May, a former Lukoil tycoon, Alexander Sobotin, died of a heart failure, reportedly after seeking alternative treatment from a shaman. Voodoo on one hand, shaman on the other. This is some wild stuff. Lukoil is Russia's biggest private company, and in its statement said that it was down to Mazinov's managerial talent that it had evolved into the world's largest energy firm. He began working at the private oil company in 1993. Okay, we already went all over that. But, here. Mikhail Gorbachev died at the Central Clinic Hospital on Tuesday, and President Putin Vladimir visited the site on Thursday morning to lay flowers beside his coffin. Oh man. Now, I remember I was young when Mikhail Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan signed an agreement, and I can't think of the name of that agreement at this very second, but I'll make sure I put it into the video. They signed the agreement. And what's going on in Ukraine, I did several videos about this called the Warsaw Pact Agreement, but there were other agreements involved in it. So the Ukraine is going with NATO, but Gorbachev signed with Ronald Reagan for them not to bring capitalism on the doorstep of the Soviet Union. And you had all this. You had the Ukraine, Poland, Uzbekistan. You had the Baltic states, Lithuania, Lithuania, Latvia, Republic of Georgia. All of these areas were a buffer between the Western countries and the Eastern countries, to where there could be that separation, and NATO was supposed to honor that. So the Warsaw Pact was a pact between the Baltic states, the states that I just mentioned, were supposed to band together to keep capitalism out. Now, the Soviet Union fell in 1991, and the first breakaway was, oh my goodness, the Ukraine became independent, but they were supposed to stay deneutralized. I don't want to make this video too long, but there's so much going on. Now somebody is cleaning house. Again, changing of the guards. Ever since, oh my goodness, oh man, I'm sorry about that noise. Oh, it's just, let me see. But the changing of the guards. So ever since Joe Biden put strict sanctions on Russia and the oligarchs around the world. I know over in the US you had rich Russians trying to hurry up and sell everything off. I'm not going to get into that, but they're trying to sell everything off so that they can keep their assets, or at least something of it, because they're seizing everything. Anybody who's close to Putin, to the Russian government, they're being squeezed tight. The interesting part is the ruble is going up in value. The US dollar is going down in value. You can't make this stuff up. Now, all this voodoo and shamanism, Putin is extremely religious. He is not into the occult. He rebuilt all of the churches around Russia. I did a video on that, and the reasons why for it. So you could look at other videos. It's going to make this video too long if I were to explain it. But there is so much going on, and there is changing of the guard, a purge, say how I put it any way you want, but it's going on. And the bankers, now these oil tycoons, they're dropping like flies. And the interesting part is they're also taking out the families. So Maginov goes to the hospital to get better, to only die because he decided that he wanted to commit suicide. Nah, I don't buy it. There's something funky in Canterbury. Or as they say, there's something funky in Denmark. I don't want to say Denmark. I'll just say Canterbury. Alrighty. A lot going on. If you want to add to it, please put something down in the comment section. Please tell me what you think, what's going on. Say, hey Laura, you are totally off base. You're just going totally left with this. And if you just put something down, we can converse about this. But let me say this. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers, and once I reach there to 1,000 subscribers, please help me. On that note, I want to thank you for stopping by.